Today, let's look at what countries can do to address corruption. This is a complicated issue, and the fund is in the midst of a review on how it can help countries address this issue. But let me share with you a few lessons. First, enhancing transparency. Corrupt transactions, because they're illegal, are by definition hidden. And therefore, a key ingredient for success is the requirement of disclosure. And this is particularly important with respect to the government's management of its own finances. The fund has developed a fiscal transparency code which it uses when advising countries how to report and publish information regarding its own revenues and expenditures. A second area is regulatory reform. In an environment where a broad range of transactions require permits and licenses, there are opportunities for bribery. Now, the solution is not deregulation. The financial crisis demonstrated the extent to which a market economy needs effective regulation. Rather, what we advise is the streamlining of regulation. And this can be achieved through the use of technology. For example, an application for customs clearance can be done online so as to avoid the type of transaction that would enable bribery to exist. And third, of course, is enhancing the rule of law. One noted expert in this area, Robert Klitgaard, has observed that corruption is a crime of calculation, not a crime of passion. And the calculation of someone who is considering to commit a corrupt act may be changed through a credible threat of prosecution. But the rule of law is more than just legislation. It requires effective institutions to implement it, because a law is as weak as the weakest institution that enforces it. And in countries where corruption is systemic, the very institutions that are charged with implementing the criminal law can themselves be compromised. The police, the prosecutors, and finally, the courts. So having an effective anti-corruption strategy means, at its heart, developing strong institutions. What you're looking for is a civil service that is proud of its independence from private influence and public interference. How do you achieve that? It's a complicated issue, and it requires progress across a number of different dimensions. Having effective compensation, appropriate education, and finally, and perhaps most importantly, strong leadership. We've seen that in countries where corruption is systemic, leaders who set an example, who send clear signals regarding zero tolerance of corruption, can make meaningful progress in this area in a relatively short period of time.